There are many factors that affect load securing. As we saw in the last video, the vehicle structure will determine a great deal how load securing has to be done. Now let's look at the basic principles of loading and load securing. Before any loading, unloading or securing of cargo begins, vehicles should be braked, stabilized and immobilized as appropriate to prevent unsafe or unexpected movement. Loading and unloading should be carried out so that, as far as possible, the weight of the load is spread evenly across the vehicle or trailer at all times to prevent instability. Make sure that the load is distributed in such a way that the center of gravity of the total load lies as low and as centered as possible. The load should be secured and arranged in a manner that prevents sliding or toppling, and ensure that the load securing arrangements do not damage the goods being transported. When loading the vehicle, sufficient load securing equipment should be available and must be in good condition. Wherever possible, use additional equipment which supports the load securing, such as friction mats, walking boards, straps and edge beams. The load should be placed against the headboard if possible, or if there is a gap, that an intermediate bulkhead is fitted, or blocking or dunnage is used to fill the gap to prevent the load moving forward. Check the load securing equipment is able to withstand the conditions it will encounter during the journey. Make sure that the vehicle and blocking equipment manufacturer's recommendations are followed. In road transport, loads in one vehicle may need to be distributed to many customers. However, the optimal way of loading the cargo for load securing might not be in the order of distribution. This causes a problem because items in the cargo should be in a certain order to make the distribution efficient. And whatever system is used, it must not create an additional risk for people who have to use it. Different loads will require different methods of securing. However, what works for one type of load will not necessarily work for another type. Each load has different characteristics that affect how it can be secured. Weight is one of the most important things to know about the load. Without this knowledge, safe load securing is not possible. For example, the amount of lashing devices depends heavily on the weight of the load. Shape determines the orientation of the load. Durability determines what kind of lashing and blocking methods can be used. If the transported products are in soft packages, they can't be lashed with chains or webbings. You may need to consider load restraining tarpaulins, for example. Dimensions determine how the load can be positioned into the vehicle while loading, and also what kind of securing methods can be used. For example, with flat loads, top-over lashings can't be used effectively. Sharp edges may damage or break lashing devices or other loads. Corner protection can be used to prevent damage to lashing devices and also loads. Carry out a risk assessment and select the safest and most appropriate method of securing the load. If required, consult the vehicle manufacturer, trade industry bodies and suppliers of proprietary load securing systems who will be able to provide advice. If sufficient load securing equipment is not available, then the load cannot be transported. For more information, go to the LoadSafe website, www.loadsafe.ie.